This episode of World Wellness Education is made possible by a production grant from the Milhorn Law Firm.
We at the Milhorn Law Firm believe that important decisions in planning should not be put on hold. These planning decisions affect not only you, but your children and heirs. My name is Eric Milhorn. I'm one of 7 attorneys here at the Milhorn Law Firm. We've been very fortunate. We've been able to serve the Central Florida area for a period of over 20 years. All the attorneys at the Milhorn Law Firm live in this area and are proud to call this area our home.
The Milhorn Law Firm, the law firm you know and trust.
Hi, I'm Tracy Brosman, co-founder of World Wellness Education, a community forum to educate, encourage, and inspire a better way of life. We commonly face day-to-day challenges of stress, lack of exercise, and poor eating habits. But with the right approach, we can find freedom, wake up each morning feeling healthy, focused, and ready to take on the day. Together, we can make a difference, one story at a time. Unintentional deaths resulting from chemical toxicity has increased by 160% since 1999, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Tens of thousands of chemicals are used today for many household and industrial uses, such as cleaners, furniture, clothing, and countless other products. Still, only a small fraction of these chemicals have been adequately assessed for potential risks. Chemical toxicity can cause death, temporary incapacitation, or permanent harm to humans and animals. It does not take much exposure either. We often swallow, inhale, or apply chemicals to our skin without realizing it. Today, we will be talking with Rochelle Roper. In 2002, Rochelle was exposed to a high dose of chemicals that later caused many health problems. Rochelle is here to share her story with us and what she has done to find good, vibrant health once again. Welcome, Rochelle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Rochelle, like I said in the introduction, most of us have 20 years of exposure before we may see problems, but you were exposed to a massive dose within seconds. What was running through your mind at that time?
All I could think about was I have to hurry and try to get somewhere to get it washed off of my skin, because I knew it was going to be absorbing within seconds. And so all I could do was think, hurry, hurry, hurry. Soap and water, scrub it off, but it was too late.
So where were you at when you were exposed?
At the time, I was working for a large cattle ranch, and I ran the processing crew. So I was in charge of all the vaccinations and different things, and we artificially inseminated a large amount of cattle each year, and I was in charge of helping synchronize them for breeding later on. And it was the hormones that we were using on the cattle to synchronize them, and some of our equipment had malfunctioned at the time, and so while I was trying to repair it, at the pen, it ended up some of the equipment failed, and the doses, probably 40 or 50 cattle doses, ended up spilling down the front of me, all down my arm and down the one side of me and all down my leg.
And did you think that you might be having problems later on down the road? Did you think you got it all off and you were okay?
I wasn't
sure. Was that a worry?
Yeah, I wasn't sure at first, but within days I started having some very peculiar problems. Things started changing. I started noticing that I had a lot of pain on the one side where my ovaries are, and I kind of would kid to my husband of, I feel like I'm growing, an egg the size of a football.
Oh my gosh.
So I immediately started noticing changes in that, and changes in the way that I felt. And I would go to the doctor, and they really didn't have any answers for me at the time.
Now, how were you feeling before the spill?
I felt great. I had no health problems that I knew of. I was never sick. I never went to the doctor. I was in my early 20s. I mean, I felt very, very healtzy.
Very vibrant for your
age. Absolutely. Had a ton of energy. Nothing that I knew of at the time.
Right. So what did the doctor say when you went to tell him that you were having these pains?
The first one I went to was my regular gynecologist, and she kind of brushed it off. It took multiple doctors. We moved from where we were working to get away from it because I was having such health problems. And when we came up here, I started seeking out other doctors to go to because I started having more complications. And I would ask doctor after doctor, why am I having these symptoms, or why am I having these problems?
And what type of complications?
One of them was I began to lactate. I had never been pregnant, never had a baby, and I began to lactate. And the first response from the doctors was, "Oh, you must have cancer." And they sent me.
Did they say that before they tested you?
They were pretty alarmed. They said there should be no reason. There should be no reason for me lactating. And they said usually when you start to have some kind of complication like that, and you should be a normal, healthy, 20-year-old, that there must be other things going on, that it was possible cancer, or it could be something going on in my brain or other parts of my body. And so I went for a mammogram, and of course, everything came back okay. No cancer or anything, but they couldn't pinpoint what it was. And I kept telling them that I had been exposed to high doses of hormones, and they just did not. They didn't want to link the two together. And
it's probably unusual, and they didn't realize too. So many of them.
Yeah, I don't think that was a normal thing for people to walk in, to their door and go, okay, I've been exposed to all of these things. Most of the time, they didn't even know what they were. They had to look them up. They'd be looking them up on their phone or something, trying to figure out what type of chemicals it was. And
very few people can probably go into the doctor and say, I was exposed to this and this chemical, because we are exposed to so many chemicals over time. So if we start to have symptoms, we can't pinpoint that it was our lotion that we've been using for the last 25 years. You can't say that.
But I knew specifically, what it was and approximately how much I had been exposed to. And so it was just very difficult to get them to test me for those kind of things. Plus, there's really no test for it.
Right.
It took about 9 years for me to be able to prove that it was still in my system.
Wow. Okay.
And at first, I always thought of myself as being a healthy person. We grew up gardening and growing our own food, and
so you stayed away from a lot of the junk, right?
I did, and so I just took it for granted that I was healthy. And so when I got this information and I was reading it on the papers, I was going, I'm pretty much a ticking time bomb.
Wow.
And so
and with everything that you were going through, how did that feel? I mean,
it was devastating, because at the age of 25, we miscarried our first child, and we found out that was because of what I had been exposed to, because it had changed my hormones so much. I had no good hormones, and I had only the bad ones. And so they told me at the time, after we lost our first baby, that they said, you have nothing to keep a baby alive. That a baby's not even an option for y'all anymore. We have to do something to keep you alive.
Wow.
And so I had to completely change, everything that I was doing. And I went on a regimen of supplements, natural supplements, natural hormone therapies. And so for a while, my body did get better. It took 2 years to be able to get my levels high enough for us to be able to try again for another child.
So you were paying very close attention to your diet.
Absolutely. I mean, there were the supplements that we took were specific to what I was deficient in.
Okay.
And so it was very tailored to what my body needed. But it took 2 years. 2 years to be able to get the okay to even say, yes, you may try for another child. Because they said, in the beginning, they said your body has so many issues at the moment that either one, you'll never carry a baby full term, or your child will not be healthy. And so they said, don't even try for another child. And so we were allowed to try, and I was able to carry our daughter to full term, and she's 6 years old now.
Aww.
So we have our little miracle. And but even after that, it's been kind of a roller coaster. We went through some difficult times and through some layoffs, and because of the layoffs, I wasn't able to stay on my supplements, and
affected you financially.
And yeah, because we had to pay the house payment instead of paying for my vitamins, which were about as much as a house payment, and so I had to go off of it. And so every time I would go off of it, my body would go right back down.
You were getting healthier, but you still weren't healthy enough that you could maintain that health without that extra help.
No, and it was kind of like putting a Band-Aid on it. Because those chemicals were still in my body, I was taking the supplements to counteract it.
Over 10 years,
almost
right?
almost a decade. Not a decade. Is that right?
Yeah,
almost a decade.
Wow. To imagine that they stay in our system that long.
Yeah, because it binds to a lot of the things in your body, and it stays. And I was able, through the help of my chiropractor, because I kept saying, this stuff still has to be in my system. It has to be in my system, but I couldn't get anybody to help me figure out how it was still in my system,
right,
or where it was. And my chiropractor actually was the one that would help me with that, and she was able to test me to the products and find that they were still in my system and still affecting my system.
Wow.
And so we were able to do a detox, which took quite a bit of time. And now, probably within the last year, I've been able to do the supplements and things that I need to. And I went back to gardening and a handful of years
right, ago,
and so I can make sure that I eat as healthy as I can. For the most part, I try to stay, preservative free, all natural. If it has more than 3 to 5 ingredients in it, I try not to eat it.
Okay.
And because I figure if you can't read what's on the label, you probably don't need to eat it.
Right.
And
now, when you were going through all of this, you probably did you have to pay attention to like chemicals that you were using, like household cleaners or lotions, hair products, all of that?
Absolutely. And because of being exposed to what I was exposed to, made my body very chemically sensitive, to the point that, I can use some type of product, and sometimes even a natural product I have to be careful of because it causes all types of problems. It affects my hormones still, and my system is very fragile still. It's being built back up.
Right.
But cleaners, shampoos, I try not to use anything but natural products, because I do notice that they make me ill. Either I feel ill instantly, or even some like shampoos and soaps, my skin will bleed.
Oh, really?
And so I have to be very, very careful. And it's kind of aggravating because I can't just go to the store and grab something on the shelf. I have to take all my stuff in bags to my chiropractor. She probably loves when I show up because I have giant bags of stuff. It's like, okay, muscle test me to it and make sure I'm okay to be able to use it. And most people don't even worry about that. Most people don't have to worry that,
Well, yeah, if we haven't been exposed like that and been so ill.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that we need to all know that there's a lot of chemicals in everything that we do, and that eventually we will get to a point where it can cause an illness, or we may not be feeling as well. I know for me, it's bleach. Now, my mom cleaned with bleach for years and years, and I never had a problem growing up.
Yeah.
But now, if I even smell bleach or come into contact with bleach in any way, shape, or form, I get instantly nauseous, and I don't feel good.
No.
So
no, your body will tell you.
Yeah, you get to a point where you've said too much.
Yeah, your body will definitely tell you. There's stores I avoid because I can't go into them because of the chemical smells. you know, and it's the same thing. I go in and I instantly get ill feeling and I have to leave. And so there's places that I just absolutely avoid. And so I stay outside most of the time.
Do you?
And play in the dirt all day long. And
Okay, well, tell us about that, because I want to talk a little bit more about your gardening, and also what else have you done? Now, you've mentioned supplements and trying to eat healthy for the most part, but what have you done to restore your health for them?
Everything that I mean, I've replaced all of our cleaners in the house.
With like what?
All natural products.
So do you buy them? Do you make them?
I do buy them. Most of them. Some of them, other people I know make them.
Okay.
So
We don't want to get brand specific,
No.
but if you made any,
No.
I was.
No, I don't have a lot of extra time right now.
Okay.
So I have made some in the past. My goal is to get back to where I can make more of them myself, but I've been able to find some really nice alternatives that are locally made, or you know, that I know and I trust the source from them. So
Okay.
I know what's in them. You know, but I changed all of our cleaning products. I changed all of our soaps, all of our I don't know, everything. I mean, we only use, you know, natural whole food supplements.
Okay.
You know, and I've really buckled down on trying not to bring anything processed into the house. I mean, there are a few things that still are, but I mean, we try really hard to stay away from the preservatives. Instead of shopping up and down the aisles in the grocery store, you know, maybe we shop around it.
Okay.
Or we go outside in the backyard and pick what we're, you know, going to
Pick what
cook
you
for
want.
the cook for supper.
Now,
So.
what about eating out?
Eating out has its challenges. There's a handful of places I like to go because they have more fresh type items, and but even then I have to be careful because I'll leave with a massive headache, or within minutes, you know, I'll end up feeling very weak, or my body starts hurting, or like I said, the headache starts. But there's a few places I can go that don't use preservatives, and they cook naturally, and so that's had its challenges too.
So, and you say you've talked about your garden in the backyard, so tell me a little bit about that. What type of things do you grow, and how big is that garden?
Well, actually, I started a program a couple years ago called Feed the Need Garden, and
Okay.
I teach people how to grow their own food, and we feed families in need. And I teach people how to grow food according to their health need.
Oh, really?
Because there
That's interesting.
are so many things that you can eat that can actually benefit you if you have a specific health concern. But we grow all kinds of stuff. We have over 80 gardens in our community.
Wow.
I have the beginnings
That's
of a
incredible.
teaching farm that will be able to have a classroom setting to have people come in and train and learn how to do this, to be able to go back to either their organization or their community and share the information with other people. But right now we're growing squash, tomatoes, onions, green beans, peppers.
Wow. Now tell me a little bit more about feeding them toward their health type, or what they may have, if they have an ailment. How do you decipher, you know, what they need?
There's a lot of research out there. You know, I mean, it's just a combination of research that I've gathered up, that other people have done. You know, and I kind of just help them put it into a format to where they can, you know, it's great to be able to grow your own food because it is healthier. You know what you've added to it. You know you haven't used
Now,
pesticides.
are you using any pesticides or
I don't
chemicals?
use it, no pesticides, no chemicals.
Okay.
You know, we use a couple natural things. I tend to just recommend that people pick the bugs off because that's the most natural thing that you can do to remove them from your garden. Because what's the point of growing healthy food if you're just dumping chemicals on it?
Right.
They're going to absorb right into the plant, and you're going to eat everything you put on that. So the chemicals in your food are the same way with your skin. Anything you put on them, you're going to absorb. Anything you put on your skin, you're going to absorb.
And I don't think sometimes we realize that because we think of our skin as a protective barrier.
No.
So
No, you absorb everything you touch, you absorb. And everything you put on, you absorb. And that's another. I quit using makeup. I quit using lotions. I use, natural oils, essential oils, natural deodorants. I completely have tried to kick the chemical bucket, so I don't bring any of that into, because what is it doing over a long period of time? I know what happened in a short period of time.
Right.
But now I have to be so careful, because I'm thinking 5 years ahead and 10 years ahead. What health problem am I causing for myself because of what I'm,
for your daughter or your family?
Absolutely. What are we putting into our systems or exposing ourselves to that's going to cause us health problems long term? And so, I've become really kind of fanatical about it and overcautious, I think.
Well, I think you've had a reason to be.
Yeah.
And hopefully the viewers out there will take a look at their lives. So many of us, we may not have that reason that you do, but if we just look at trying to eliminate some of what we're putting on our bodies or breathing or using, even if it's just small steps.
Absolutely.
Over a long term, that could end up making us feel better.
I didn't do all of it all at once. It was baby steps, because it's hard when you're used to doing things a certain way. It's hard to break that habit, and
it's hard to change.
It is hard to change. And with me, I was faced with, you're very unhealthy. I was only 25 at the time when they told me that.
Wow.
And they said, you're very unhealthy and you've got to do something now. And I said, I don't want to die before my time,
No way.
And I have grandparents that lived to be, close to 100, and great grandparents that lived over that. But they ate healthy. They grew their own food. They didn't use all the chemicals and things like that. And you can tell that they lived a healthy, long life because of what they were exposed to, what they exposed themselves to. And that was nature, natural things.
Right. Now, what about exercise? Has exercise helped you at all?
I get a lot of exercise with the gardens.
Oh, I imagine you do.
We shovel about 2,000 pounds of soil into each raised bed that we do, and I'm constantly
And how many raised beds do you have?
I don't know the exact. We have over 80 gardens. Not all of those are raised beds. Some are, we have anywhere from, we build wheelchair accessible ones all the way up to, 1 acre size gardens. So.
And now this is all a nonprofit organization that you started, right?
Yes. So
what's the goal of it?
Our goal is to educate. There's so many people that just don't realize or don't know how. They want to get back to the basics and learn how to grow their own food, because they're tired of what's being put on their food, or and they have no control over that. So just trying to eat healthier and maybe save a little bit of money by growing their own food and things like that. So our biggest goal is to educate, teach people how to do these things, teach them a skill they can go home at the end of the day and put food on the table for their families.
And it's not difficult, that it's possible.
No, it's very simple. I go in, I teach kindergartners, in many schools, and I teach, all the way up until the elderly in the assisted living facilities. And you're never too young or too old to learn how to grow your own food.
Wow. Well, Rochelle, if somebody watching this program would like to get in touch with you, whether it's about trying to remove chemicals from their own life or about the gardens, how would they be able to do that?
They can go on our website, and that's feedtheneedgarden.com. And there's all types of gardening information on there, and events, because I teach classes. I teach free classes, and there's an email on there, so they can contact me through there. My phone number's on there as well.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rochelle. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
Together, we make a difference, one story at a time. You can find out more information about World Wellness Education on our website at worldwellnesseducation.org. Focusing your efforts steadily on something will create extraordinary results. You might be thinking right now about your career, your health, your home, or your relationships. At the end of this wellness tip, you will be able to reach goals you thought were impossible. When we are trying to bring about change in our lives, we sometimes rely on what is called innovation. Innovation is taking extreme steps such as quitting something cold turkey. In business, it might be massive layoffs. There is a book called One Small Step Can Change Your Life. In a nutshell, the Japanese principle called kaizen consists of achieving great and lasting success through small, steady steps. Lao Tzu once said, "The journey of 1,000 miles is achieved one step at a time." Kaizen works because it melts away resistance, which is the underlying reason why most people fear change. When we get overwhelmed or believe a task is too big, there are 3 areas of the brain that get activated and react as if we should be fighting or fleeing. The creativity center of our brain also shuts down. By taking small steps, we remain calm and our creativity center stays active. The goal is to make the steps so small that you can't fail. Think of a task you've been avoiding. Now I want you to ask yourself a question. What is the one small step that you can take to accomplish this task? It is important not to make this step too large. For instance, let's say that you want to make exercising a priority. You may say, "I am going to exercise every day this week for 30 minutes. Now be careful with this because even though we are only talking about 30 minutes a day, this task is too large if you have not been exercising on a regular basis. We do not want you to set yourself up for failure. So let me ask again, what is one small step that you can take today to achieve your goal? If your goal is to make exercise a priority in your life, then you can say, "Today I am going to march in place for 2 minutes." Other resources you can check out for free are from the Fly Lady. Yes, that's right, I said the Fly Lady. Marla Silly, the Fly Lady, loves fly fishing. More importantly though, her website at flylady.net has helped over 500,000 people overcome their resistance to change. Her topics include clutter, the value of routines, weekly and monthly cleaning, increased self-esteem, and letting go of perfectionism. If you are looking to make small steps toward a healthier lifestyle, you might consider getting a great book written by World Wellness Education co-founder Gene Sumner. The book is called 52 Tips to Be Healthy and can be found on our website at worldwellnesseducation.org. Every time you set a goal, look to make the goal that much smaller. Work on a smaller goal for a week or 2, and then you can add an additional step or additional time. Once you get into a routine, it is a lot easier to accomplish larger tasks. Creating routines comprised of small steps will help you create lasting changes in your life. This information is not meant to be medical advice. No action or inaction should be taken solely on the contents of this information. Instead, you should consult appropriate health professionals on any matter relating to your health and well-being. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can catch this show each week on Lakefront TV. And to find out more about World Wellness Education, check out our website at worldwellnesseducation.org. We'll see you next time.
This episode of World Wellness Education is made possible by a production grant from the Milhorn Law Firm. Have you or a loved one ever suffered an injury due to the negligence of another? Then it's time to turn to a law firm that you know and trust, one with a record of client satisfaction and integrity. Hello, my name is Ryan Milhorn, and the Milhorn Law Firm has been representing personal injury clients in the Central Florida area for over 20 years. Our attorneys live in this community and are very proud to call it home. The Milhorn Law Firm, the law firm you know and trust.